How's it going? It's Henry. So in this video, what I want to talk about is basically how many hours a day do you need to be working when starting up your business, when trying to get some traction with your business. How many hours do you need to work on your business? So this could be an agency, this could be an e-commerce site. If you're watching this, no matter what type of business you're trying to start, I'm going to talk about how many hours you need to be putting in to actually start getting results with your business. And then when you are putting in the hours, what do you need to focus on? What needs to take up most of your time when starting up with business and trying to get results? So firstly, in terms of the time that you're putting in, I would say there are some phases that you go through when in your business. So if I take me as an example, in certain phases, I work literally every waking minute of the day. I wake up, get straight into work, and I hustle maybe 12 hours a day or whatever the case may be. Most of the time that I'm awake, I'm putting in work and trying to get things done. But then after I've had a few months or whatever in terms of putting in that work, it allows me to relax a bit from time to time and then have periods where I put in less amount of work. For example, when I'm traveling and I get to see places because I've put in the time beforehand and made progress with my business from the hours I put in certain other phases. So for you, for example, if you haven't started getting traction, or you're in the phase where you aren't really getting traction, not getting sales with your stores or whatever the case, whatever business you are in, your agency, you aren't really getting traction, I would be in the phase where I'm focusing predominantly on my business. I would wake up and any free time that you have, if you're really serious about making it with business, start to get sales on your store or really reach the business goals that you set for yourself, I would make sure you're putting in a substantial amount of time on your business. So even if you're watching this now and you've got a day job, I'm in contact with people who do have day jobs, but they're making good progress with their businesses, with their stores, because all the free time that they have, for example, after your day job, if you're serious about making with business, you want to focus that time on making your business work and launching ads and so on in the free time that you have. Don't make excuses if you're trying to have certain business goals. So what I do in terms of making sure I put in the work is I write down my business goals, I write down my life goals that I want to achieve, for example, from a year from now, 5 years from now, and then I backwards or reverse engineer what I need to do in order to get there. So say I've got goals for my agency and a number of clients that we want to work with, the results I want to get from my clients. I see what I need to get to that ultimate goal and then I reverse engineer it. So right now I'm putting in a lot of work for my agency because I'm trying to grow it, trying to scale to new heights with my agency. So I'm putting in the work to reach those goals. Your goal might be to get X amount of sales with the e-commerce store. So realize the amount of work you need to put in to reach those goals and then literally just put the time in and work X amount of days to get that done. So what has helped me keep track of my time? You might want to use a time tracking software. I believe I used to use one called Toggle. I'll flash up on the screen here in case you want to use that. You can track the time that you are spending each day on a business to keep yourself accountable, to make sure you're putting in the time and actually reaching those goals. So also, I do believe if you are a younger person watching this channel, for example, somebody in university, straight out of school, or even if you're in your 20s like me, for example, you want to be making sure you are really putting in the time to make the business work, because the younger you are, basically the more energy you have compared to people in the 50s, 60s. So you've got an advantage when it comes to the energy that you can put in. If you don't put in the time now, trust me, your energy is just going to deplete as you get longer. So now is the time, especially if you're somebody in your 20s, even early 30s. If you're somebody in your 20s or even early 30s, you want to make sure you're grinding as much as possible to reach your goals, because now you've got the time, you've got the leverage to actually make things happen. For example, if you're, again, for somebody younger watching this channel, you might not have any responsibilities, you might not be having to pay bills, perhaps you're living with family members, you probably don't have a family to take care of. So now more than any other time in your life, you're going to have the free time to put in work on your business. Now, if you don't really want to reach those business goals, it's fine putting less amount of time. But if you really want to reach those goals, put in the required amount of time. Sometimes you're going to need to put in 12-hour days, or you're going to have to grind from after you finish your shift at your work, for example, from 9 p.m. till 12 p.m. every night. Make sure you are putting in the work. Now, of course, it's also good to take off time. So perhaps on a weekend you want to relax and spend a day, for example, not focus on business, but most of the time you want to make sure you are putting in the required amount of time to make things work. Also, in terms of the allocation of your time, in terms of where you want to be focusing your time on business, you should be making sure that most of the time that you spend on your business is focus on basically revenue generating activity. So as an agency, you want to make sure 80% of your time is centered and focused around actually doing lead generation, actually putting in activities that can lead to you acquiring a customer. So for example, that might be lead generation through cold emails, that could be cold calling, that could be reaching out to old prospects and trying to re-engage that conversation. It could be going door to door, but you want to make sure 80% of your time is spent on that, because no business can function without sales, without revenue coming in. So I, for example, I'm somebody who thinks of myself as a creative person. I do like to focus on some creative tasks and big picture goals, but I also know that I need sales in order to drive my business. So I focus a lot of my time, for example, on my agency with lead generation stuff, so we get new clients in. And then also in the stores that I have, I focus a lot of my time in launching ads and so on, because that's going to bring in money. So for example, if you've got an e-commerce store, you want to make sure a large proportion of your time is not spent, for example, on seeing whether to have a yellow checkout button or a green checkout button. You don't want to do that, especially at the beginning. Focus most of your time on launching ads. 80% of your time, try to make a successful store, launch ads, reach out to influencers, reach out to affiliates with your blogs, and use those activities that can actually generate income for you, especially when you're trying to get traction. I mean, this should always be the case, mostly focus on lead generation and revenue generating activities, but especially at the beginning, that's how you want to allocate your time. The 20% of the time you can spend trying to come up with a strategy for your agency, trying to come up with systems that's going to drive the growth of your business. Maybe as an e-commerce store, the 20% of the time can be learning principles that are going to help your store as well. So this is how I would say you should be spending your time if you're trying to really get results with business, and also how to allocate your time. So I hope you found this video useful, and I will see you on the next video.
I am not second, but I am top two. See me in the club with the team, them blacked out, so you know I gotta wear black top too. I ain't really trying to